This is 48 Concli, and today here I have my Glock 40 Gen 4 with the MOS package, which that's the only way it comes. This gun is unloaded, and what I have here today is a Ghost 3.5 pound trigger connector. And I picked this up, I just saw it at the local gun store. And never tried any of the Ghost products. I've heard some good things and some bad. Some of the ones that you have to do some minor gunsmithing on, like sanding down, I've heard that it's easy to mess them up. This is just kind of a standard. I got a pretty good deal on this actually, compared to buying like a Lone Wolf online. I got this for pretty cheap. I have no complaints there. It's got a really nice polish on it compared to a factory Glock, which I used to have one down here, but I don't know where that really went. And I know that in these models, I think they do have a lighter bar, but this is just a more polished part, and it should run a little smoother. So I'm going to open this up and get this installed, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back here and I have the trigger group out of the frame. And if it takes this pin right here, which is located right here on the gun frame, sometimes it seems like it needs to take a little extra force the first time you disassemble. So if it seems like it, I hate saying to use more force, but it will come out. And then after you do it a few times, it does seem to let go a heck of a lot easier. It's just nature of the things getting loosened up and becoming more serviceable. So the next piece is to get this old connector out here, which I will do, and I will get right back. Okay, then this is always kind of tricky to get the trigger bar here out. It's captured by a spring in there, and it's also captured here by this piece in here. This is just a plastic piece that sits in the back of the frame here. So it's almost a motion of, like, I don't know if you can see, like pull back and pry out, and then it'll kind of loosen it up like that. One thing to note is you want to make sure that the spring, if you do take it apart even more than this, you gotta make sure that the hoops and the spring match up to how they were before you disassembled it. Then the easiest thing is, you can either pry it out here or push from the other side here. And you just gotta kind of work it out. Any way to really get it out. And these are spring loaded. Some people have the nature to try to want to bend them straight because they look like they're crooked to them, but that spring loaded aspect of it is part of the design. And as you can see here, I have the factory one on the right and the Ghost one on the left. Oop, I did. See, so the angle that rides, well, let's see here, if I can try to get it without messing everything up here. The angle that rides on it, on the trigger bar, is right here, and it rides right on here. So on a regular 5.5 pound Glock trigger bar, you're going to have it be straighter, whereas these ones are pretty close to the same. The only difference that I can see is that this Ghost trigger has just a little bit different shaping in here, a little bit finer finish work on it. Obviously it's a lot shinier, more high polished, which will help get rid of some gritty feeling and stuff. You could wear this in, you could polish this one down, but this one's just made this way. So, the size of that lobe there is just a little different too. So probably won't feel all that many differences, but it might. It's kind of the theory of stacking. If you do so many things that eventually, and that's after I get the new trigger that I want, which comes with a polished trigger bar as well, you have these bearing surfaces are going to be more high polished, which, like I said, you can do. You could polish this, you could sit down with the Dremel and run some high polish on that. And you, to the very much, as far as this design and this Glock 40, that would get you. But in this 3.5 pound here, I mean, I think Glock calls this a 4.5 pound, which that's really what the 3.5 pound is. It's the same shape, it's just nicer finish on it. So like I said, I got a good deal. Figured I'd throw it in there anyways to try to help along with the trigger feeling. So all that's left to do is to go ahead and put this in the gun and give it a try. Like I said, this thing rides weird sometimes here. There we go. Okay. It's very kind of spongy feeling at first. Once you get it in there, like so. So you got it correctly. In here you can see the new connector is in place. You can kind of reset the trigger yourself. Well, it's going to be kind of hard till I actually get all the pins. I'll be right back. Okay, I have the trigger and all the pins back installed. One thing you want to make sure is to put your pins in from this side. When you're taking it apart, push them out this side, put them back in this side. So have the trigger installed, or well, the connector installed, and trigger's back in. And it is working, the mechanism is. So get the slide put back on. Well, before I do that, I go ahead and do this. Anytime you add new parts, I know Glock doesn't, you know, people like to say that they like to run dry, and they do, but with just being a brand new part, I'm just going to put a little dab of oil right there. Right there. Just to kind of help it along. And I'll make sure to clean that just in case it needs to wear in at all. Not saying it does, but never hurts to try to help. So slides it back on. So from what I can tell, it feels very much the same. Like I said, it's 3.5 to 3.5. It does seem to feel just ever so slightly smoother. And like I said, my plan is to use this in cooperation with another trigger, as well as this little safety here. I have another one in my Glock 29, and excuse me, I think that made some of the biggest difference. Is Lone Wolf's design on this is rounded, and that makes a huge difference in how it feels, the trigger. But I'm going to use all these parts stacked together and hopefully get a decent trigger on it for use for hunting. Do need to get a couple other pieces. I've been kind of floating. I do want to get a red dot on it. I mean, you got the ability, so it's kind of hard not to use it. And I do want to get another barrel. Not that Glocks have issues with lead, but there's a good chance of me using some hard cast lead bullets, maybe some 200 grainers out of this. and I'd rather be safe than sorry. And I also have been floating around the idea of potentially getting, I know Lone Wolf had them, but they had a 6-inch with a threaded, so you could put on a compensator, potentially, and that was kind of what I was leaning towards. But they're kind of in between switching to a new line, and I really don't have the option for that yet. They also do have a 9-inch, which I've been kind of floating that around too. I'll have to do a little research on that before I try to pull a trigger on anything like that. But I am going to get the trigger, and I think that when it's all said and done, it'll make a big difference. And I mean, as far as Ghost goes, usually I just say go ahead and go for the Lone Wolf. It's cheaper if you're going to order it online. But because I didn't really need I just happened to find this for like $8, which I thought was a pretty good deal. I think Lone Wolves are somewhere around there, but by the time you get shipping, and I actually got this quite a ways back. I was just at a gun show, like, well, you know what, I'll try it. I haven't tried any of these Ghost products yet, and it seems to work pretty well. I mean, they have all kinds of guarantees. Don't know how well those guarantees hold up, but they do have them. It is made in the USA, so can't complain there. And yeah, so I guess if you want to check them out, I mean, they're pretty well known for making, I think they made some of the earlier designs for Glocks. And at this point, I mean, the factory piece, I might try polishing it and seeing if I can, I might throw it into a different gun or something like that down the line. But especially if Polymer 80 makes a large frame 80% lower, I would definitely use something like this in there, because having the parts, and it's nice to just use them back and forth. But as one thing to note here also is that there is a minus connector here. Yeah, Jesus, that's what they call them, but there's a little minus dash here, and that is to state that this is their 4.5 pound lighter trigger pull. So I'm just going to keep this in my spare parts, and I'll use that maybe some other time if I ever try building another gun or something like that, or pick up some scrap pieces, or I do want to get a Gen 2 Glock 20 just for kind of nostalgia, and for the different frame and all that. But so it's always good to keep your parts. I mean, even if this part fails or doesn't work out for me that I just put in from Ghost, you always got to keep your factory. I would always recommend that, because honestly, I mean, like I said, this doesn't seem like that much of a part, but if you got to order it and pay for shipping, and then you got to wait on it, and if you need it for something, it's better just not have to wait and keep your spare part rather than throw it in the trash or something stupid like that. So, alright, this is 48 Conclay, and thanks for watching, and hopefully it worked out pretty well. I guess we'll see what happens. So, alright, thanks for watching.